For the most part, we were kind of pretty much doing everything through QuickBooks. Obviously, it wasn't farmer directed in any way. It would give us a level of understanding, but really it didn't give us a true picture of cash flow at all. That was one of the biggest challenges. Is every year income and expense would show a profit, but then there was never any money left. One of the hardest things, or one of the biggest challenges we had, was just through our operation, was actually determining if we were even making money or not. Kind of all the numbers kind of run together when you're doing, obviously farming is a multi-year thing that we do. So it's not something that you're looking at just 1 year. But Farmer Metrics, basically what it did was it allows us to kind of deep dive into the true cash flow of the farm and the projections that kind of go from there. And then it helped us segregate out basically our real assets and kind of how they look, and it just showing that type of stuff as well. Better understanding my finances has allowed me to really make better long-term decision making when it comes to financial decisions, and then also be able to actually see where we're at in the farm and the financial situation to be able to make even decisions right now. As everybody knows, the last couple of years of farming has been pretty rough. We were just feeling like with QuickBooks, our current situation, the way we were trying to handle everything, it was just leaving too many voids that we just had no idea. We're literally the decent-sized farmer today. Decent-sized farmer's going to spend millions of dollars a year running his operation. It was just so hard to pinpoint anything in your operation with any detail. I mean, you were just kind of putting it all together, and as long as it suffice for the bank or the CPA, I mean, that was about the extent of it, and it really was nothing past that. Just using the P&L just to determine tax, and that was really the extent of it, because it really never reflected the actual, because it really didn't reflect living expenses. A lot of times it didn't pick up, where you did capital purchases and stuff like that, and then all the equity payments and everything that we're making for equipment, all that, none of that shows up in P&L. So it was just leaving too many voids in there to be able to ever know where you're at. And it's crazy because you would literally show you made a certain amount of money, and then you're going to have to pay X number of taxes. And I would tell my CPA, there's no money to pay the taxes. So why is this not working out? So that's really what we kind of felt like every single year we were getting that same situation. We were just using our local lender that we've been with for a long time. One time a year we would do like a loan update, kind of going through the process of kind of everything fell out and just really projections for the next season. And then we were just taking the P&L and kind of applying it over to what the projections were. So it was pretty vague and really just a one time of the year look at it, and really never looked at it again. With Tyler and the coaching part of it, one of the things I think that obviously the setup of the Farmer Metrics, getting involved with that, which he kind of projected to me. I'm one of those guys that like to go after a challenge like that, especially when it comes to the books and stuff. So I really, did a deep dive in that program and learned it pretty fast. But any questions I had, obviously, he was there to help. So as far as like the coaching part of it, I was just unsure about to start with. But one of the things that my wife and I both, I guess, knew is we needed somebody from outside of our operation to look in our operation that would have a non-biased opinion, that would have knowledge, and really to take that information and compare it to others of like sizes or whatever similar operations, because we didn't know if we were doing the right thing or if we're just, if we're the only ones doing it this way or what. So I think that's been one of the biggest things, is just having that outside perception or look into our operation, just to kind of walk along with us throughout some of this decision-making process. It's been one of the key things. But some of the ones concerning crop insurance, leasing, equipment versus purchasing, some of those things is actually topics of conversation that we'd already had with Tyler and Lance, and just, those were kind of items of conversation. And then obviously the community calls just kind of backed that up. The coach has the ability to look in and compare what you're doing as a whole, specific to your operation, but comparing it as a whole to farmers all over the country. And if something is standing out, we can recognize that and see that there's no other way I can do that. When I first kind of started talking to him about it, I guess he was kind of a little curious about it, but once I sent him a few of the reports and stuff, I think he really liked the way it looked. We really haven't had a good sit down time yet, but he was very excited about keeping on like monthly, cash flow estimates and stuff like that, and projections. I think that's definitely something to kind of keep them on the front end instead of waiting until you get in a bind and have to come to them, with information and try to put a bunch of stuff together. I think he definitely appreciated that for sure. One of the things that's kind of stood out for us is one of the things that Tyler did when he was looking at kind of our budgets and what we were doing. We were actually pretty good bit over like on our fertilizer and lime category. And obviously you've got to put out fertilizer and lime if you're going to continue to farm. Looking at maybe some ways to save some money there, because we were a good bit higher than what the kind of the national average was. And obviously here in Louisiana, it could be definitely different because our conditions definitely affect that a lot. It did basically help me to come up with a fertilizer program that is functionable, but yet fits into an economic side of it, because I feel like we've kind of went at the fertilizer thing with, the more we put out, the more we make. And there is a certain extent of that, but if it's not cost effective, then what are we doing here? And then one of the other things that I think just saw was just that we had a decrease in revenue, even though we had increased acres. Something I really didn't realize, which was kind of crazy, but which highlighted some marketing issues with not doing well at marketing. I knew that I was already weak at that, and so that's actually driven some changes in my marketing, actually hiring a different marketing firm to help with some of the things that I'm weak on and just don't have the time to do the way I should. One of the other things with the coaching, Tyler brought Lance Weaver in, and Lance kind of knows a lot about especially crop insurance, and then obviously the tractor leasing and some of the stuff around that. Because I think as farmers, we're just having to farm different today with this equipment monster that we're up against and these equipment notes. I do like the idea. I think it's been a really benefit that people like Lance that are kind of specialized in that part of the industry can come along beside you and give you some tips and maybe look at some different options for how we do business when it comes to equipment, and kind of looking into the crop insurance side of it and how that looks, for our operation and really not just surface level, but like really digging in and seeing what that looks like for your operation. So definitely I think there's been a lot of value in that for sure.